welcome back to the RationalInvestor.com Broiler Chicken Show. Trade your trading plans, don't take too much risk on any one trade, and just let yourself get rich. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the RationalInvestor.com's Broiler Chicken Show. Brian's Broiler Chickens. Intro's still going. Maybe I haven't started yet. Let's see what happens. There's Brian. Looking over at the camera. Hey, everybody. FYI, stupid Microsoft. What a joke. I swear, this stupid world. I have to do it on my phone because, although you can't see that, more technology bullshit, but the timer is set. We have 58 minutes left of this broadcast. As soon as the timer goes off, we are done. And I'll head off and hang out with Liam. Anyway, you can see this is Brian's 1980s format. Chaos. I really don't like the direction all this technology and Big Brother and shit's trying to send you in. Oh, you have to be logged in to do this and that, even on your own fucking computer, even though you bought it with your own money. Oh, well. So anyway, showed you the timer. Have to do it on my cell phone. Was going to do it on the computer. Remember last week I did it on the computer. Stupid computer. Microsoft bullshit crap. Doesn't work. So when the cell phone goes off, we'll call it a day. Going to be, a bit shorter of a broadcast here, and I think probably going forward here, kind of want to wind all of these public broadcasts and stuff down. Do 3 videos on the site for site members where I just sort of chit chat, and if I feel like talking, and we head off on different tangents. Friday spent probably a good hour and a half just going through the platform, using the screeners and finding interesting ideas. Mondays, a little bit of a follow-up from today's broadcast in case I didn't get to questions that were asked in the AMA document or on the site, and as well sort of a review of, what to expect in the coming week. Wednesdays, I do like to do a review of the secret options formula or stock picker club meeting ideas with David and Francis and the gang, Zach. Love that group. And Sunday here, this primarily should be just an opportunity to speak to I suppose the public tertiarily, but primarily the education program. Anybody who happens to be in the education program that has specific questions they'd like to ask me. This is the opportunity to sort of do a dovetail follow-up. I am auditing the level 1 program this term, helping Josh, who hasn't done the sort of level 1 instructor role before, so not a bad idea to have just a little backup for him. And if anything, I love Josh's spirit. He has a great spirit, and he's probably a really good sort of person for new people who are overwhelmed by the anxiety of all of this. He's very positive, very enthusiastic instructor. I do like that about him. So I think with the 1-2 punch, Brian's just sort of helping in the background. I think level 1ers getting good value from the class. And I did see coming out of class yesterday, somebody did ask me directly a question, but I said, well, why don't we tackle that in the public Broiler Chicken Show tomorrow. So big part of today will be to address that. Not a bad idea. Take a quick boo at the overview of the market, what's going on, anything of note happening this past week. I will say, I do think that it's, what's fascinating about all of this is since I've learned these cycle approach to economics, and since the stars happen to move and the planets, they all move in relatively consistent fashion, I think you can use the stars and the planets as sort of like a stopwatch. I don't think it necessarily happens because planets are in specific parts of the sky versus just the fact that we, as this species on this planet, we seem to go through a very predictable sort of life cycle. And then if you get gluts in populations because of stupid things like wars and stuff, um, the the population as it moves through, like the glut, as it moves through its life cycle, it has very distinct behavioral patterns, and those, of course, get reflected in the marketplace. Just pure economics 101. And what I do find most fascinating about all of this, and I learned this, I remember back in the mid 1990s, I remember distinctly one day, and it was in 1998. This little Jewish guy, because he had his little curly hairs and the hat and the whole fucking thing, was running around the floor of the exchange barking about how it was a very specific date in 1998. And this was 18 years following the 1980 pivot. And of course, that was all around long-term capital management. Unfortunately for that gentleman, he was one wave too early. There was one more wave higher into the turn of the century in the Jupiter-Saturn cross. He didn't quite take that into account. But that was basically when I first started to clue in about these long-term cycles. And I have to say, I was absolutely 120% convinced that from the year 2000 to the year 2018, that was going to be a commodity bull cycle. It was going to be, quote unquote, a fear cycle or an anti-hegemony cycle. And the very end of the cycle would be the ultimate expression of us humans having complete lack of faith in the system. And of course, I can't think of a better analogy. Like I said, at the end of this year, I think what I want to do is head off into the sunset and write this book that needs to be written. But I've shown you guys this repeatedly. It's just such a great analogy of this. Is there any better expression of a society's complete lack of faith in the system and in the institutions that we put in place to guide us as a society, and all our sort of norms and accepted behaviors and all that? Is there any better protest of the system than that image right there? Boom! What a fucking insult. So, I mean, these cycles are just working absolutely perfectly. Absolutely perfectly. So, ironically enough, we are in a US dollar hegemony, anti-fear, anti all this nonsense. And obviously you're opening a can of worms, picking fights with the homosexuals and stuff of the world. But let's hope to goodness we can at least sort of get back to sort of I don't know. You don't even know, how do you even describe something like this? It's absolute chaos. So if anything, absolutely perfect what happened there as an analogy of these cycles. So the problem here, of course, for the silly humans on this planet is they don't realize that actually the interest rate markets move in these very predictable fashions too. And this being the ultimate expression of that sort of, the baby boomers leaving the economy, heading into retirement and all that kind of fun stuff, the system basically unwinding. Oh, I can't use that chart, gotta use a different one. Let's maybe head over here. And we look at these long-term interest rates. We'll look at the U.S. rates just because it's so hard to find these damn rates for other countries around the world. Like historic long-term rates. I like to look at these long-term pictures. But I hope, and interesting how we only go back to the 1960s. I mean, if you look at this over a really long-term period, this just oscillates back and forth, back and forth. So anyway, here was that 1980 pivot. And most people just don't understand this. If you think about this from a cycle perspective, this was a Jupiter-Saturn cross right in here. Interestingly enough, the midpoint of this event was right in here. That was a Jupiter-Saturn cross right in there. And that was a Jupiter-Saturn cross. So in a weird sort of way, you can actually draw like a big sine wave on this. And I don't think people realize this. A lot, and especially like politicians and stuff like that, they just don't understand this. And, I guess, Brian, in love with the market, 40, 50 years. So studying the market, well, maybe 40 years, let's say 30 plus working in the market. Where's my sine wave tool? Oh, geez, I can't find it. There we are. What you really need to understand is, actually it goes the other way around. From beginning to end, something like that. This is also a very long-term interest rate cycle. And unfortunately, what this image means is that quite literally for the next 30, 40 years kind of idea, we have to expect rising interest rates here. This is unfortunately what most people in the public, they'll just never get this. And a lot of people, especially like the politicians, they are actually expecting that interest rates themselves are going to go back down to these historic levels. But really, I don't think so. I wouldn't be surprised if there is some sort of check, because you can see this was a straight move up. So I do think that we have to go through this period right now, probably somewhere like we're right here, there to there kind of idea. Although it's the exact opposite part of the cycle. So we got to go there to there to there kind of idea. But on balance, we should be expecting a very long, prolonged grind higher here in interest rates. And considering the fact that we're all fucking dead broke and these countries are, they don't even have the money that they're spending right now. They are literally mortgaging their kids' futures, their grandchildren's futures. And at some point, all of this will come home to roost. And eventually, you've even heard the central banksters even say, well, the debt right now is not a problem, but this is unsustainable, because they know that interest rates are heading higher here over this next 20 years. And ironically enough, this is the whole point that I was trying to make about all this, is that we know that these cycles are coming. You just never know the exact why and how these damn things are going to play themselves out. You just don't know. Could I have told you that, it turns out that the reason why this market, where's probably the best place to have this conversation? Probably right in here. Why did the dot-com boom stop, and why did the commodity markets all of a sudden start going up? Well, was it because of the function of the baby boomers leaving the economy, or was it because some idiot politician decided to orchestrate a couple planes being driven into buildings to justify, I think it's something like $20 trillion war, all told, like from beginning to end? And that sort of set the course for the rest of this decade and into the 21st century, especially following the collapse of the U.S. housing market there and the debt problems, et cetera. I mean, just on and on. And just, you can't write better fiction than reality. You never really know the reasons why this happens, but the long and short of it here is this is our future with regard to interest rates. And I did find it interesting that and where am I going with all this? The whole point of this was, and actually, that's probably not the one I wanted. What I wanted was, right now, what did I do with the newsletter? Um, Now it appears as though the Europeans, and you can't write this better. I mean, it's not like somebody could sit down and script this. And if somebody did 5, 10 years ago script that, oh yeah, the Germans are actually going to go and remilitarize, people would have been like, what? You're crazy. Well, that's what's happening. Get used to it, folks. And this is a chart of German bonds. Again, and keep in mind the Germans, of course, many of the Germans that were alive here, and many of them are dead now, and they're dying, so they can't remember. But over here, 5, 10 years ago, a lot of the Germans that were kids through the Second World War and through the 1920s and the Weimar Republic and all that crap and hyperinflation and wheelbarrows of money, they promised we will never, ever run budget deficits again. Never. And we will have the most pristine, austere books, and we are never going to repeat the same mistakes that we repeated in the past. And lo and behold, all it takes is some dickhead over there in Russia to go and fucking upset the apple cart, and then have some American come along and say, fuck you, we're not going to spend any more money. So if you want to defend these other people in Europe, you better foot the bill. And now history is completely unwinding and completely reversing itself. You could not script this any better. Impossible. And yet it is happening. And this is why we always say you can't write better fiction than reality. We do know, and not we, I'm just going to say me. I don't really like speaking third party, and none of my business partners or anything like that. In fact, actually, most of the people on the site don't even listen to or espouse what I'm thinking going forward. So I'll just use first person. I know for certain this is the path of interest rates going forward. And the question is, how the hell does this happen? And the answer, of course, is, sicknesses come out of nowhere. And all of a sudden, governments justify spending like 5, 10 years just running absolutely horrific budget deficits that back over here we would have never approved. Never. But all of a sudden, mysteriously, they're perfectly acceptable. And it's not like there was any referendum passed or anything. I mean, in my country, the stupid asshole running the place literally doubled the national debt. And what did we get out of it? We didn't get anything. No bombers, no big honking missiles that look like big dicks that we could, parade around and go, look how big our phalluses are. Nothing. We got nothing. This stupid asshole's fucking giving money away to like fucking, African nations to, I mean, it's just insane the way that this cocksucker's given our money away, our futures away. And he never had a referendum at all to give him permission. In fact, the cocksucker has never even had a majority government. He's been a minority leader the whole damn time he's been in power. And he can somehow justify doubling our national debt. How the fuck does this happen? So, I mean, it's incredible how you look at these damn sine waves and you look at, Brian's fear, greed cycles and the hegemony versus non-hegemony. And then, the Bitcoin 4-year cycles and money flows and all that. And you know what the future is, and yet you have absolutely no idea what the why is. And when somebody eventually tells you what the why is, you go, there's no fucking way that they're going to have that happen. And yet it's happening right in front of our faces. Absolutely incredible. And what's so ironic, this is the true irony of all of this. And this is why I always tell you, it doesn't matter to the Rothschilds. They don't give a shit whether your government is socialist or whether your government is a fucking right-wing totalitarian dictator. They don't give a shit. It's the same crap over and over and over. And literally what's happening here is a conservative, a right-wing German government was just elected, which should be even more austere. And yet it's the Germans. And this is why I was kind of like, I don't know whether I want this EU Commission, because it's not the EU Commission here that's actually proposing it. It's the new German government that's come in. And of course, what do they want? Since they are right wing, since they are, Hitler was fascist, he was right wing. They would call it National Socialism or whatever to try and confuse the fuck out of the public. But here we go again. And the irony of it all is that now Germany is going to go and remilitarize, and everybody's going to be perfectly happy with it. And you wonder, in 1920s Germany, or maybe let's say early 1930s Germany, when Adolf Hitler came to power, how many German housewives probably were like, you know what? I don't. He's a little bit crazy, but look what he's doing. He's going to bring the economy back, and look at he's spending lots of money, and the economy's going to come back to life, and Germany's going to stand up for being a guy. I mean, you can literally see history rewriting itself. It's shocking how cliche this shit is, and the long and short of it here is, this is the cool part about, of course, the juxtaposition of us understanding things like longer term cycles and understanding that you can't fight these cycles. This is just the way the stupid human experience works. And anybody who's been on the site and worked with me over the years and going through that whole crypto cycle, which of course was a commodity bull cycle. And Bitcoin did exactly what it was supposed to do, and it worked beautifully. And then fascinating, now that we're on the anti-commodity cycle, you actually see how crypto is kind of, the whole story is kind of falling apart. I mean, I might argue that half the reason why we were interested in crypto was because of this idea of proof of work, that there was actually value in the blockchain. With regard to all these POS coins and now DeFi, there's no value in any of this stuff. It's all shit. And it's really just your perception of what you think that this stuff is value. You can't actually put a dollar figure, one Solana is worth this amount of money. And what's, to add insult to injury, like obviously Ethereum was sort of first out of the gate with the DeFis. And then, of course, there's a whole bunch of competition, and they're all eating Ethereum's lunch. So, and then what's ending up happening is the space is not growing vertically, i.e. Solana goes to $5 million a coin because the network is so valuable. It's actually growing horizontally. I mean, how many, just out of curiosity, I'd be curious, how many, I wonder how you even phrase it, tokens are now on the Solana network. I mean, the number must be staggering. Is that for real? The total supply of SOL tokens. No, I don't think that 587 million without a cap. And the circulating supply is approximately, okay, so if this is like specifically with regard to Solana, but that's not exactly what I was asking. I wonder how you ask how many cryptocurrencies are on the Solana network. Is that what I'm asking? How many? What would you call them, YouTube audience? There's 52 of you over there listening to me barking away here. How many coins? What's the term I'm looking for here? Chris? I think Chris is half asleep though. We should probably leave Chris alone today. How many? What's the term here? YouTube, help me out. You can't be that.
How many assets are on the chain?
Assets?
Assets?
287 billion sector market cap, 184 total assets. I don't know what with a question. Didn't we see a while ago? Like, remember when all of the craze last year? There was some guy on YouTube saying, "Hey, look, this is how you do a Solana coin. Blah, 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 do that, and it's done." SLP tokens. How many SLP tokens? Is that the way we do it? Anyway, I think you guys get the idea that there's so many of these damn things. Holy shit, is this for real? Market cap is measured in circulating supplies of SLP tokens. 41 billion tokens are tradable on the market. Is that smooth love potion price chart? I have no idea what the hell that is. I don't know. Is that what SLP stands for? It's just gotten so bizarre and so far away from this whole idea of proof of work that I this now reminds me, especially the way Donnie was getting involved in this space with what's his silly little network. He's created an exchange, Liberty something or other.
Liberty Financial.
Liberty Financial. Is it actually like an exchange itself?
Good question.
I'm not even quite sure how this works. Earn and borrow crypto. Oh boy. Maximize your crypto holdings by earning interest through various decentralized finance protocols. That's like the whole POS idea. First and foremost, why isn't anybody mentioning how much of a horrific conflict of interest this is? Having the president of the United States, a political figure, actually talking about these markets and part of this World Liberty Financial. I mean, I don't even understand how this works. But that should be an absolutely stunning conflict of interest. It makes no sense how he can even get away with this, other than the fact that, of course, crypto is entirely unregulated. And in a weird sort of way, you've heard me talk about this before, right? You know this gentleman. Do you think this gentleman would have anything to do with, and actually be interesting, he keeps, there he is. This guy here, do you think he would have anything to do with all of this DeFi crap and taking advantage of this and Solana and all that? No, there's got to be way more than 184. There's no fucking way it's that small. Now, I remember through the craze last year, there was somebody that said like 500,000 coins, 500,000 coins were being listed almost like on a daily basis on Solana. I don't think it was daily, but it was just some absolutely insane number. Actually, I did see an article that this guy here is sharing a jail cell with P. Diddy, was it? Chris, did you read that? Something along those lines.
I'm sorry, what was the question? I heard P. Diddy. That sounds
Sam Bankman-Fried. I saw somewhere on social media he actually posted that he's like sharing a jail cell with, I think it was P. Diddy. I'm not sure if that's the right name.
I heard he was sent to solitary confinement for having an interview with Tucker Carlson. So that's the last.
Oh, he got sent to solitary confinement over that.
Yeah, because he's in jail doing interviews. Yep.
So he wasn't supposed to even do that Tucker Carlson interview, eh?
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting? Anyway, that's here nor there. But the point of the matter here is, do you think these kind of and if you don't know who this is, be careful, quote unquote, investing in crypto. If you don't know this guy's story, you might just be walking into a trap. So be careful. Yeah, well, Chris is technically not supposed to be here today. He should be sleeping. So I keep harassing him. So go back to sleep, sir. Don't worry about it. And if I'm just talking to myself, that's all good. Anyway, I don't know how I got off on this rant, but just the point being that actually I'm quite disillusioned with the way this whole crypto story is going. And I actually find that I think that this crypto story is turning more into like a bulletin board, pink sheets kind of story. It's the same sort of pump and dump kind of stuff. And I don't think that Mr. Trump did anybody any favors here whatsoever with his whole world liberty bullshit and the Trump coin and stuff. I think he completely undermined the professionalism of the space, and if there is any, and has absolutely destroyed whatever credibility. And then, of course, his son, and this is where I get into the sort of gray area of all this, is his son comes out with absolutely stupid, like just dumb, like really unprofessional comments about people. This is a good place to go and buy whatever, blah, blah, blah. And you look at the price chart and you go, what are you, an idiot? I mean, you can't be this stupid. Can you, Eric Trump? Are you really this dumb? No, there's no way this guy could be this stupid, especially with the way Trump is always going, Trump Sr. He's always going on about, oh, well, this guy went to a shitty university and he was at the bottom of his class. Not me. I'm a smarty pants. Look at me. So I get the impression Trump is kind of high on intelligence. There's no way his son could be that stupid. Really? Eric Trump is really that dumb? Can I say this a few more times so that maybe the Google algorithm and shit will kick in here? Is Eric Trump really that stupid? Maybe we should call the indicator the Eric Williams percentage R, not Willie. Poor old Willie. I used to have a client of mine who, like, literally at the very top of the market, he would always come in and want to buy. And I actually created an indicator that I teach people in our school program. And I called it the Willie. And I said, whatever Willie goes stupid, don't buy. And if overbought, if Willie gets stupid oversold, get in there and buy. He's selling. So do we create an Eric indicator? Is Eric Trump really that stupid? Hey, man, I can't believe it. Or these people are just pure evil. And unfortunately, I think that's the case. I don't think that Eric Trump is that stupid. I think Eric Trump is that manipulative and evil. And he will literally legally try and steal the money out of your pocket, very much like this guy. Very totally legal, but just stunningly unethical, stunningly immoral. They just don't give a fuck about you and I. And if anything, I've got 10-year track record here every single week coming out and trying to help each and every one of you. I've never shilled a coin. I've never shilled any project and then, done the whole fucking rug pull. I mean, these cocksuckers just did a massive rug pull in the market just last week on everybody. And yet, is anybody in the public going to hold them to account? Stunning. And the weird thing is that, and this is kind of like how Adolf Hitler got away with so many nasty things into the end of his days, final solution and all that nonsense, is that the public sort of gets all enamored by how bad the previous guy was, and it doesn't matter. They just want something different. So then they just give carte blanche permission to whoever the other guy is, and then the other guy comes in and you go, holy fuck, this guy's a fucking tyrant. I mean, God, this damn world we live in. I don't get it. But anyway, if nothing else, just try and take from Brian's conversation here. There are a lot of pitfalls in this world. There are a lot of ways that you can fail at this whole thing. And the one purpose about TRI was to try and make a positive difference in this world. And I will tell you, if you follow the process and you put all these idiots away, and no offense, but you can't listen to Donald Trump and take any investment advice from that guy. If you do, you're just asking for trouble. And I might argue that his number one priority now, in my humble opinion, is he actually needs to get this bond market to calm down. And he needs these interest rates to calm down, because if he doesn't, then none of his plans work. You might argue that half of the reason why this went up was because of the over the top socialism brought in by his predecessor. And ironically enough, what seems to be happening, again, I think this is all part of the Rothschilds plan. And I think that Biden was a puppet of the Rothschilds. And it's sort of like, look, you play ball and we'll fund whatever social programs you want. And so Biden and the rest of the Democrats in the states are like, okay, great, man, we can, we can have any sort of crazy socialist over the top programs. We just got to play ball with the banksters and what do they want? And unfortunately, what I think's happened here, and I think Mr. Trump has said, no, enough of that. Those days are over. We're not playing that game. So what ended up happening is that basically, in an emergency sort of path, the Germans have now picked up the ball, and the Europeans now, it's their turn to absolutely blow up their balance sheets and create absolutely horrific deficits. And of course, hyperinflate their economies and their societies. Great reset continues. I think in the transition period here, and this is what I find fascinating about this is the German government that is now basically sort of leading the charge, and they're doing it through remilitarization, which means that ultimately down the road there has to be some sort of World War III. It's coming. I don't know whether it happens in our lifetime or not. I sure hope not. But, maybe it would actually be better that we just have a big old shoot 'em up, get it over with, hit the reset button on our entire civilization, and just start the whole process from scratch. Because you can clearly see we're coming to the end of whatever this civilization sort of apex is. At some point, we're going to blow ourselves up. But anyway, I digress. Point here is just simply that it's interesting to watch now the Europeans are being encouraged to blow their budgets and their balance sheets up. It is now officially Germany's turn. And since we know that we're now in should be a 40-year trend of rising interest rates that will ultimately top out around 2060, somewhere in that area. This trend is just getting started. So we got a long, long way to go on this. Where was that bond chart? Oh, I guess not over here. I wouldn't be surprised if, I think what probably is going to happen here is Mr. Trump has specifically said that he needs this interest rate to come down. And frankly speaking, like I said, the budget deficits in the states and stuff like that, that's not sustainable over time. And at some point, if this isn't addressed, then, things like interest rate payments just, they don't make sense anymore. And the whole house of cards collapses. So I think in the short term, Mr. Trump is trying to derail and break as much as he possibly can. That's what it feels like from like a 30, 40-year veteran in the marketplace. Watching Mr. Trump's antics, it's like everywhere he turns, he's trying to break the economy. This whole, one might argue that over Joe Biden's presidency, and, in my country, it's absolutely embarrassing what the idiot running the place has done. And thank God his days are almost over. But I wouldn't be surprised in the next government that comes in to replace Trudeau's. If I understand correctly, the conservative, the right wing leaning politician, has got a pretty good chance he'll win the next election, whatever the hell that is. They're trying to put in an old bank governor in place of a central bank governor in place of Trudeau doofus now, which is so ironic. because of all the people that the socialists are putting in power, they're putting in a bankster, which just goes to show how completely owned Canada is by the Rothschilds and the whole Great Reset bullshit. Stunning how corrupt my country is. But anyway, point of the matter here is I might make the argument that Biden, and especially under Obama and Clinton days, Bush, I think to a certain degree he did cut back, but also he expanded the U.S. military crazy size. But especially under Obama, I do think that, and the first term of Trump, I don't think he had enough credibility and sort of power in Washington to really affect change. Whereas this time, of course, he got the Congress to fall to the right as well. So now he has basically carte blanche across the U.S. government. So, and I think this lasts for the next couple of years. But under that sort of that mandate, quote unquote, he's going to try and reduce the size of the U.S. government as much as possible. Yeah, it's fascinating that he pulled in a Canadian to actually do all this damage, which is hilarious. So funny. In Canada, there's actually a movement to try and revoke Alan's Canadian citizenship. And man, anyway, I won't go down that road. I mean, you know what I think of Alan. Oh, God. Anyway, so it is interesting to see that he's trying to do as much destruction as possible within the U.S. government here in the short term. And as well, he's trying to do as much destruction as to sort of the status quo world economy as possible. He has to do everything in his power to break the economy, because the reason why interest rates are as strong as they are is because they're just, everybody is spending money that they don't have. I mean, household debt in my country is embarrassing. But a lot of this move up here in interest rates was purely a function of, the CARES Act. Oh, well, let's wrap it around the scamdemic and let's put some sort of doctor's note around it. And then that way, all of this insane socialism is completely justified. Well, I don't know. Anyway, so many corporate bailouts and all that kind of fun stuff. But the point here is that the spending is just absolutely out of control. And I mean, I think the trade deficit now for the states is gonna be well over $1 trillion annually, and that's money that's just leaving the U.S. I'm sure Mr. Trump's going to try and stop that as much as possible. Of course, budget deficits in trillions of dollars neighborhood, got to somehow slow that down. And the way that you do it, of course, is you kick the economy in the shins as much as possible, disrupt as much as possible. I thought a kind of a funny side note. It turns out that the largest province in my country is actually the biggest purchaser of Kentucky bourbon in the world, of all things. So the leader of the Ontario province, he went on one of the left-leaning media outlets down in the States, and he's like, I have with these tariffs being announced, I have officially removed all U.S. alcohol from Canadian liquor stores. And in Canada, alcohol is actually sold by the government. It's highly regulated here and taxed into the ground, of course. But in essence, all of Kentucky bourbon, just everybody, and a public message. Well, the people of Kentucky, we love your bourbon, but man, you're going to take one hell of a hit here because you just lost your biggest customer. So it's what Mr. Trump's trying to do is he's trying as best as possible to just kick the economy in the shins every single place he can. That's my interpretation of what's going on here in the world right now. And it's going to be a bumpy ride, folks. My basic thesis, there is the S&P 500. I kind of think that that looks like a megaphone, which means that, 1, 2, 3, that was actually a pretty nice sell signal. 1, 2, 3, we probably hit some sort of panic bottom here in the near term. And then, of course, on Friday, just out of nowhere, oh, well, no, well, we're not going to do the tariffs after all. We're not going to do that. So he's just trying to fuck things up as much as possible. That's honestly my feeling here. And then, of course, we have this really big celestial event coming up here, eclipse. It's interesting. There was a reference that there was a point, I think a week ago, where you could actually see 7 different planets in our solar system in the night sky. I don't know whether that really has that much of an effect on the human beings itself. It's not like they were in alignment or anything. I think it was just it's an interesting celestial event that happened, but there was no sort of alignment. It's just they were all in the sky. But the point that I would just make here, especially with this eclipse window, is sometimes the market acts really screwy through these eclipses. And oh, by the way, there's an FOMC meeting right in between these eclipse windows. So like the first one is a lunar, then there's solar, and there's an FOMC meeting right in between. Do you think that's an accident? I don't. So I'm not quite sure what's going to happen here. What I think is going to happen, this is my hunch, is that actually the market's going to stabilize here a bit as we go through this eclipse window. And more importantly, I think that the market is going to actually be looking for the Fed to kind of balance things out. And kind of, I think the market is going to look to the Fed to be sort of like the savior. And I don't think that the Fed is going to play savior. They're going to be very hard nosed about this. And I think what happens is coming out the other side of this, then we get the second leg of this move. And this is a downward pointing trend. I could very easily see us have to do like an A, B, C, D kind of thing through this. Boom, boom. And I don't know how high we can counter trend rally. This is assuming, and I suppose the very least we should expect like a 50% bounce, right? Good old WD GAN. So that's there. Oh, not a bad guess. Do we have to come all the way down here? It wouldn't surprise me because, oh, what a surprise. Notice horizontal support and resistance, right against these lows. You think that's an accident? I don't think so. So we won't call that Wyckoff. We'll just call that horizontal support, something like that. I could very easily see something along those lines. Now, what's making me think that way? Well, we have a cool little tool that we like to use called the January barometer. And the old adage goes, as January goes, so goes the rest of the year. So this is basically January 1st right here through the end of January right here. And in essence, that's my roadmap for the year. Doesn't necessarily have to follow this exactly. In fact, last year, the halfway through the year, there was a bit of a disconnect because people actually thought maybe Cami might actually win, but it turns out she lost anyway. She was no better than Joe Biden. But point here is this year, it is interesting how we started out on an up note. We had a violent pullback. Then we had a big rally. And then we sort of petered out. So that was sort of the first week of the year. Then you notice as we actually go through the first month, all right, we started out on a pretty good note. Then we had a pullback in size. So that's exactly this, up, then down. Then so up, then down, then a huge rally. And I think that's what this is, huge rally. And then don't finish the year on such a great note. So for whatever it's worth, I think we are basically right here, right now. And here comes our fun little celestial event. And I actually think, and of course, the Fed's meeting right in between that. And as I said, I think the Fed is everybody's going to look to the Fed, and I think the market's going to rally into the Fed. So this will be a really interesting reference for all of you. Watch, does the market rally into the Fed? Because there's an old adage in the market, and this is 35-year market veteran. Write this down if you want some alpha or beta or whatever the fuck these kids call this shit, giving you some information you can use. If a market rallies into a Fed event, that's usually bad for the other side of the event. If the market sells off into the Fed event, then that's usually good for the other side. So let's watch my hunch. And, as the weeks go by here, the next big event is 17th, 18th, which will be not this Wednesday, but next Tuesday, Wednesday. So we'll have another meeting 1 week from now, 16th, literally the day or two ahead of the Fed event. And that will be literally the start of our eclipse event window. And then we have the whole week where there's like eclipse to start the week, then eclipse to start the following week, and the Fed event is right in between. And I think that the Fed is going to say, well, sorry, economy's too strong, inflation's too high, problems with tariffs being inflationary, consumer expectations are still really high. And the market following that is just going to absolutely puke out into basically middle of April. Then I think that the Fed is going to come out and it's going to be one of these. And I got a sneaky suspicion that they're going to blame this on this silly chicken virus that's running around China right now. And what a coincidence. They say if you don't learn from history, you're doomed to repeat it. If I understand correctly, people are dropping like fucking flies over there. And they're saying that this avian flu is something like a 60% mortality rate. Holy shit. Corona or whatever scamdemic virus, that last one that they threw at us, I think it only had like a 10% mortality rate. This has a 60% mortality rate. Oh, fuck me. So anyway, I think there's going to be some sort of crisis, and you're going to hear the politicians, I will sacrifice my life to save capitalism, all that bullshit. And then all of a sudden, the bottom's going to come in out of nowhere because the Fed's going to go, okay, fine, you know what, Mr. Trump will acquiesce, we'll cut rates, and then that starts a massive rally. And that's basically what I'm expecting here. So really nothing out of the ordinary whatsoever. And then if we tie this into good old Bitcoin, just keep this image in mind, right? Peak, consolidation, trough, massive rally. So pop on over to the old corn. Where's the best place? We might as well work off our weekly chart, which is that one. Nope, not that one. Where's our weekly? Where's the one that I always show you? It's around here somewhere. There it is. Right. So peak, dump. Here comes our eclipse window. You notice we're right up against the 30 SMA. We're playing against these lows. There's nothing really startling here. What's interesting about this too is that is a V top. So technically we should at some point go up and test that high. But I think what happens here is the market's going to jawbone around here. Listening to the sentiment in this space, my God, you think the fucking end of the world is coming. And frankly speaking, with regard to shit coins and with regard to the scam of fucking Trump coin and all the Solana and the tokens and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I think that Mr. Trump and his family have completely fucked that whole story up. And we might even find that actually all those shit coins and stuff, unless they actually have a value proposition behind them, you might find that actually they get completely left behind here. It wouldn't surprise me one bit. But I think that they're going through the process of completely washing that market out. And then ultimately, there happens to be a letter of the alphabet that comes in at the bottom ends of ranges on momentum divergences. And then we start the whole fucking game all over again. I mean, it's so cliche, it's ridiculous. If you listen to, interestingly enough, if we look at the tools on the site, the breadth indicator, and then specifically the weekly commodity trend survey. And we look at our crypto index. Right now, the crypto index has 27 names in it. Notice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. More than 50% of our crypto index is actually sitting in a very interesting price location. We can actually start thinking about actually being buyers, i.e., names that are sitting at the top end of the range. You come in and buy those, and you're going to get your ass handed to you. Like, it's interesting how dog money has actually fallen into the attractive camp. It's actually a pretty good example. So, we'll put away the government bonds for the time being. But if we look at dog money, I think this is actually a really good example where, who in their right mind was buying dog money up here, and why? Why on earth would you do that? I mean, fuck, I've been sitting here for 10 fucking years. If any of you who listen to me were so dumb as to go and buy dog money up there, then I've completely failed at my job. And oh, what a surprise. Dog money now. We draw our reload zones. Dog money is actually starting to get into a buying window now. Did Mr. Dog Money up here warn the public? Please don't buy my coin up here. You are asking for trouble. No, he didn't. And this is the thing that pisses me off the most about Alan, is that guy's a fucking cocksucker. And he's done this repeatedly. I actually sold dog money the day he was on Saturday Night Live. Did he say, oh, don't buy dog money here because you are asking for trouble? When he literally was on this stupid television, doing his stupid Wario jokes, which landed totally flat. What the hell's dog money? Right in here. We sold like 50 G's worth of dog money up there. It was a fucking brilliant trade. And I got to hand it to it. Give a shout out to Julian. He was like, Brian, come on. We got to let some go here. And I'm like, oh, he's appearing on Saturday Night. Okay, everything makes sense. I was holding out for over $1. And I think I said that if they took it over $2, I was going to change my name to Sedona Euphoria. But it's the same logic. Who the hell's buying here? That's stupidity. Same damn thing here. Who the fuck is buying there? That's just asking for trouble. So, this one is a really good example where, oh, what a surprise. If you come to TRI, and this is why I think our platform's so fucking valuable, you come to TRI and you look at the crypto universe, are we sitting there going, oh, crypto's going to zero, it sucks, this is all a trap, it's all a scam, which is basically what you're hearing on social media right now. If you actually come to the crypto dashboard right now and you ask Brian would be like, well, actually there's quite a few names that you could consider that are attractive. You're looking pretty good over there. All right, start showing me some W's, start showing me some bull momentum divergences. I'll start getting interested. I might actually even buy you. You don't hear that too much in the market, do you? But that's how you make money in this stupid game, is you got to step in and buy when other people are crying and sell when other people are fucking acting like idiots. Gucci sweater wearers. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. Sure hope you enjoyed the edutainment here today. I mean, the problem here, and let's go back to Bitcoin. We'll just talk Bitcoin. I'll just, that dog money is a really good illustration of the sort of the, how do you say, oh, and there's the timer. All right, well, we'll address the questions and then I'll take off here. But actually, that's interesting. And actually, thank you, Google Android system, for actually not Microsoft. I couldn't get the Microsoft thing, this stupid thing to work, but Google Android would work. So anyway, so this, I think, if anything, is a really, really good anecdote of the entire crypto space. And if you cannot control yourself and you find yourself coming in and find yourself actually buying a name like this, if you actually want to make money from trading, if you actually want to make money from this endeavor, speculating in the marketplace, for God's sakes, get your fucking ass in the school program yesterday. In fact, there was somebody who actually even joined our education program. We said, look, and I'm sorry, the next intake is May. And they're like, that's fine. I'll do the whole program from beginning. I just need to be here. I need to be in this space. I need to be in this environment. And so they actually joined the level 1 program, and they're like, 2/3 of the way through the program. And I was in there, because I'm trying to help Josh, and I was kind of like, I don't know whether it's really in your best interest to come in here halfway through the program, but I definitely think that it's perfectly fine for you to sit here. If you paid the dues, great, you're part of the program. Maybe we'll ask you to throw in another 100, $200 or something just to pay for, the Thinkific and all, and, the Josh's time and all that kind of stuff in May. But get your ass into the education program yesterday. And there is a couple in Sacramento that I'm thinking about, and they have a potential son-in-law who desperately needs this. We got to, go and buy the damn program yourselves for him. And just say, look for the next 12 weeks, this is on us. Just sit here and listen to this guy and just do what he's suggesting. And he'll stop you from coming in and buying markets that look like this. I'm not going to name names. Maybe a next door neighbor will be very generous. Maybe they'll buy the education program. But if you find yourself coming in and, oh, yeah, Brian, yeah, I did chase that because it just seemed like it was so awesome. And Alan A's got such a big dick. And, he just looks so perfect. And I just had to buy, whatever. Just get your ass in the goddamn program and learn how to do this correctly. All right, enough ranting. Anyway, point of the matter here is that this is actually acting very normal, very business as usual. And, the irony of all this is that a level that we might be interested in buying? Well, that's actually a term that we teach in the education program. A gentleman by the name of Richard Wyckoff that lived about 100 years ago. How about this 61.8 to 78.6 level? Is that kind of something that might be interesting? How about if we look left? When was the last time we actually saw somebody step in and stop selling and actually buy to drive this thing up? Well, it turns out that was right there. I mean, look how close we are. So the point of the matter here is that actually the TRI website is doing exactly what it's supposed to do. And now we actually consider Doge attractive. And ironically enough, a lot of these names that they're just throwing the fucking baby out with the bathwater. Solana now has come back down into an area where you can think about buying. And Link and Ethereum and all its derivatives. There's Ethereum right there itself. Not at $3,000 like Eric Trump wanted you to buy. Anyway. Okay. Wow. Sure hope you enjoyed that. I'm not quite sure where the hell these rants come from, but hopefully that was educational on the idea of interest rates and what's happening in Europe and how these cycles, they just simply become self-fulfilling prophecies. I thought that was really good information to learn. The bottom line here is Mr. Trump is trying to do as much destruction in the market as possible. If you are a Bitcoin fan and you're interested in investing in Bitcoin, I would just simply follow somebody like Tom Lee. Tom Lee months ago said, well, I like the idea of 60 to 70,000. And now, interesting, look how the sentiment now is, well, I sure hope 60 to 70,000 holds. People are convinced Bitcoin's going to zero. I mean, ironically enough, in the short term, I actually think all we're doing is we're just playing ping pong here between these two moving averages. But look how last year's correction played out. These moving averages have to come together. Then we have to potentially get a bearish cross. And it's only at this point that I would actually start questioning whether the trend was for real or whether it was really breaking down. We're not even close to that yet. And of course, like I said there, I spent some time talking to you about the eclipse window and the Fed event and what I think happened. So, what I think is going to happen here, ironically enough, is Bitcoin's probably just going to consolidate. And then, unfortunately, there needs to be one more leg down, like we showed with that January barometer and my expectation in the stock market. Then we find that Fed comes out of nowhere and all right, we'll acquiesce. The market's broken. We can lower interest rates. Donnie starts getting happy. He's getting his way. We come down into technically appropriate levels. Remember, Mr. Lee said that he really likes 60 to 70,000 as a base here for Bitcoin. Ironically enough, from nothing more than just a value perspective, you can see exactly where Bitcoin wants to go. 38.2s of higher time frame ranges. So right now, if anything, this is a perfect time for just some patience and some discipline. Just slow yourself down. Tune out all the bullshit that's going on around the world. And if anything, you want to keep this really, really simple. Show me a W. When the W's start coming back in, higher lows, higher highs, then we can start thinking bullish. But as long as we're painting lower highs and lower lows, there's no hurry here to do anything. And this is going to be extremely volatile here over the next few weeks. All right, simple as that. Okay, on to the AMA questions, and then I'm off to Lily. So, I did ask the level 1 class people to, and yes, I'm well over an hour. I actually set the timer to go off at noon. And since it's later now, I can actually leave around 1 o'clock and still be okay. So it's now 12:11. I can go off for another half hour or so, and we'll still be fine. So, all right, that's pretty old. So hopefully we answered all that. I think this is the 9th of March here. So, hello, Brian. How are you? Well, I'm doing okay. Can't complain. Nobody listens when I do. It's my old broker line. Just wanted to ask your 2 cents about CRV, CVX, FXS, and Banana. Oh, goodness. Took some nanny nibbles on CRV at 78.6, FXS at all-time lows. Really? FXS is at all-time lows? I didn't know that. And bids working on Banana and CVX below 88.6. Okay, well, as long as you're keeping them nanny nibble sizes, there's nothing wrong with that. Only got trade location. Definitely no indicator confirmation or price structure, but wanted to see if it was at appropriate levels in your eyes and if there was anything that I was missing. All right, well, just take a quick boo at these things. Don't really need to spend too much time. Kind of like Doge. I would imagine most of the crypto market is going to look like Doge right now. So CRV, boom, looks fine. Wyckoff check. That looks, in fact, if I don't buy some there, you got to be like, well, Brian, what are you doing? That looks perfectly fine by me. I probably should go buy some of this now. In fact, I'll even just put on in the looks good. Probably what this would probably say is attractive, right? We've got location. Now all we want is all of the smaller things now to start lining up. Do we have bullish divergence? Do we have W's? And right now, all we have is location. And you could make a really, really simple argument. This market will be quote unquote trending higher when we see this market recapture that downtrend line and then actually put in structure on the other side of it, and you got yourself a new bull market. Now, do you draw this off of that little study there, or do you go something like that? I'll leave that up to you. It's, sort of Probably off the dailies, we see that top there. Oh yeah, so you can see the daily. There it is there. Boom and boom. And really, this is a bull. Yeah, exactly like I showed you there, right? So, do we have to spend until the middle of May here, my birthday, before this can actually break out and start painting a new bull? Maybe. So, yeah, I'm going to leave with that. Good location, but that's about it. Any nibble? Sure, sounds good. And if this was on the TRI platform, it would probably fall under the attractive category. CRV in here? No, so it's not big enough to fall under our attractive umbrella or the crypto top index. These are like all the top names in the space. And you can see a lot of them are kind of redundant. I got ETH, all that. So I don't know whether I really like this as it is, but it works. Steward's algorithm, trying to find the top names. But I think that CRV probably falls in there. Let's circle back around and let's look at the rest of these CVX, FXS, and Banana. We'll look at those tomorrow. So why don't we we'll highlight those. Chris, if you can remind me in tomorrow's after party, we'll look at these other ones. But on balance, if the rest of these look very similar to CRV, it's probably exactly the same conversation. All right, number 2, Bridgeforth. All right, there's a cool name. Brian, can you comment on why, with all of the good news this week, Crypto Review, Crypto Stockpile, and also White House Crypto Summit, we are basically sideways to lower? Yeah, you asked this question yesterday, and I said I would probably prefer to answer this in this venue versus in class yesterday because it wasn't really topic specific. Thinking macro picture, I definitely believe, and then if we just go back to our S&P, I definitely believe that Mr. Trump is trying to upset the apple cart. And in a weird sort of way, IBIT, I think that crypto has been securitized. So you can clearly see the top there in the Bitcoin ETF. I'd also say too that, and this will only come with miles under your tires as a technician and as a trader and a market participant, you have to put that move into context. In my humble opinion, this was way too far, way too fast. Theoretically, if you're a fan of somebody like WD Gann, what you really want to see is you want to see growth on a 45-degree angle. So if we think about just really simple growth on a 45-degree angle, 1 unit of price for 1 unit of time, and actually the easy way to do it is you can go trend by angle here. Trend angle. 45 degrees is that there. So lay that over there, and that is 45-degree growth. So this is fine, but this is not 45-degree growth there. That's way too far, way too fast. And interesting, if we just go 45 degrees off of that base there, you can see that really all we're doing here is we're just oscillating. And remember, I'd said, I personally think that through this eclipse window, they're probably going to bring the market back to that 45 degrees. And then on the other side of it, so they'll come back up here, then they'll play around, and then we'll have our final capitulation. And, interestingly enough, if you're a fan of Elliott Wave, usually the corrections are A, B, C, D. And it would be like A to B is now correction wave 1. And C to D would be correction wave 2, which would bring us back down into here, which I do like is nothing more than just Wyckoff check of the original breakout down in this area. And also too, in our education program, we teach you about gaps in level 2. In fact, we talked about it in the level 1 class, that really all of these holes actually need filling in. They are unfinished business. Notice how the market gapped higher here, and had to come back down and fill in the gap. And then it like literally gapped higher again, saying, if you're a veteran market participant, all right, well, we've gapped higher, but at some point we're going to have to come right back down to this level. And so I might even argue that your correction into sort of, Brian's birthday. Have you ever heard of Brian talking about how soft Bitcoin prices usually are around my birthday? So there's Brian's birthday right in there. Could we see this A, B, C, D play itself out? And then interestingly enough, there is your primary trend line. That is the trend of Bitcoin right now. Not this. This is way too far, way too fast, with just a ton of gaps. I mean, that's not sustainable. You can't keep doing this. At some point, market's got to come back down and fill all this in. So I might argue that really what's going on here, it's more technical than fundamental. This just went way too far, way too fast. And, W.D. Gann, keep it simple, stupid, don't overthink this. He would just simply say, the cleanup, keep you honest, market's nice and healthy, 50% retracement. This isn't I'm a bull or I am a bear. This move technically is too far, too fast. And to come back down to some reasonable valuations, we need to do things like 50% rule tests and retraces. And then, of course, Brian's a technician, guy. So, Brian's a cheap ass. And where the hell's Brian going to be buying? Well, you know that Brian's probably going to be interested down here, where all the gaps get filled in, where Wyckoff checks happen, right? And I might even argue that really this original double bottom, down, up, down, breakout, this level, notice the gap right there. That level would be my technical objective. And my hunch here, if we go over to the Bitcoin chart, that's basically right down in here, exactly where Mr. Lee said that he figured value was on Bitcoin fundamentally. So I might argue that really the reason why we're going through this now is because this was just too much. It's not technically sustainable to move at this kind of pace over time. All right, I hope that answers your question. And frankly speaking, I don't actually think any of these fundamental developments here, crypto reserve, well, it's going to be funded with Bitcoins that the US government already has. So it's not like it's implying any new buying, and it's not implying like there's any value at any particular price. Crypto stockpile, I'm not quite sure what the fuck that means. If anything, a stockpile means somebody's already bought. And my fear would be, all right, when are they going to liquidate their stockpile? And what price is that? Right. And if anything, if I got news that the US government has completely liquidated its entire stockpile of Bitcoin and there's no more selling, I'd be in there fucking buying that tomorrow. White House Crypto Summit. This guy is a fucking con artist. And if you want direct evidence of what a con artist Trump really is, Google Trump University. It is the absolute classic con job. Trump University is the ultimate articulation of a lie. And that is basically entire Donald Trump career. Everything is built on bullshit. And he's a bully. I don't think that this is worth anything. And then, if we act, and this has nothing to do with fundamentals. This has everything to do with sentiment. He's like, okay, everybody, let's all gather around. Let's everybody, take your left hand, put it on the person beside you, their penis, and start stroking. All right, let's go slowly. All right, we don't want to, no premature ejaculations. We're all going to start slowly jerking together. That's what crypto summits are all about. They don't mean anything. Now, if I actually saw somebody say, we are going to invest this amount of money into this project because we feel as though there is a value to this, there is a future to this, okay, that's a different conversation altogether. But I haven't heard anybody talk about quote unquote investing. All right, so that's my answer to you. This, what you're seeing right here, in my opinion, is more to do with technicals. Market was way too overbought, way too fast. Look at the dog money as a perfect example. And all they're doing is they're just relieving all of that stupid overboughtness. And I don't think any of this, frankly, is any fundamentals at all. This is all just sentiment shit. Nothing more, nothing less. All right, final question, then I'll head off to Lily. Sure hope you enjoyed the entertainment today. And if you need help, like honestly, if you're sitting out there completely lost, get your butt into the education program. The level one is under $1,000. Save that goddamn money. I can't tell you how many people have lost tens of thousands of dollars in this stupid space. And if they had just spent the 900 and change that we asked people to learn how to actually act in the marketplace appropriately, just learn reload zones. If nothing else, it saves you a world of headache. Anyway. All right, last question here. Hi, Brian. Do you still expect a bull run later this year, or did Trump cancel it? I've already answered that question. What is the January barometer telling us the second and third quarter of 2025 is going to look like? It's going to be a hell of a bull market. And interestingly enough, does this peak correspond with what we're expecting out of crypto? And the irony of it all is that I've told people this before, but I'm not quite sure why the sentiment changes so quickly in this space. But, you know, I mean, if you sit there and listen to social media and get sucked into like chasing up markets, I'm sure you probably feel like a total idiot right now and you don't know what to think. But I don't see any change to this image. If anything, we were supposed to go through a pretty violent back and forth here as we're transitioning from spring through into summer. And my hunch here is when this summer thing kicks in, oh, fuck me, there's going to be a hell of a rally in crypto. And interestingly enough, I can't name names, but I'm actually a part of a investment. And when I went over to the investment in crypto, and I just checked in, they have a Discord chat room. And these people, they are saying things like, this is absolutely incredible. I got to find where I last posted. This is the feedback that they just announced their, I'm not going to name the name. You're just going to have to see it. Private beta invites were out. The game is live. If you signed up for this and have an Android phone, check your emails, go and play and prove yourself worthy of the title. And everybody's in here like, holy shit. I love these comments. I'm so impressed with the graphics. This is more like 4K HD. Like, wow, great work from the team. Excellent work out there. This guy here, this is fucking epic. Found my first artifact. This is going to take Web3 gaming to the next level. And I could just read comment after comment after comment. These guys are fucking over the top excited. So it just goes to show that, you know, if people are actually working behind the scenes on actual value and actually working on real projects, not this bullshit Trump nonsense garbage, stay the fuck away from all of that cancer, but actually working on real projects, I think that there are fortunes to be made here into this coming cycle peak. Now, the sad part about it is Donnie and his little doofus Eric knockoff, whatever, and Baron. What a name for a kid. Fuck me. Anyway, are they going to be front and center in front of the shills and raping the market and stealing people's money right, left, and center? Absolutely. You know that it's coming. And if anything, I might argue that, you know, if you want to take the market up, what do you first do? Let's see if any of you can actually answer this. Brian has TDS. What the hell is TDS? TDS? That scares me. I don't want to know what TDS is. Trump Donnie syndrome? Don't do what Donnie don't does. I love that tweet. But who can answer this question? Adam, I know you can answer this question. If you want to take the market up, and we're talking up, folks, what do you first do? As soon as I get 5 answers to this question, I'm going to leave you and I'm going to go and give my boy the best possible afternoon I can. And any questions that were asked, I'll circle back around and I'll try and answer tomorrow in the on the show. Somebody, Shola asked, when does the new class start? Is it too late to join the class now? Yep, Shola, get your butt in there. New school term starts in May. So you'll have lots of time to get your act together. But you just get going. So Brian, are you saying we should leave the crypto market now, or do you expect the uptrend still? I haven't sold anything. I'm in there buying, Joe. I'm buying lots of shit against the bottom end of range. Chris sounds really robotic. Okay. Oh, what's this? It's a theater so that the public identifies with him, and then they all can say, see, not only you got hurt. All right, while making millions in the background. Yeah, really bad ethics. Bad ethics. We all need to tune out the noise and just trade setups. Well said, Andre. That's exactly what you all have to do. Put the fucking bullshit away and stop listening to Trump, for fuck's sakes. And any Trump derivative, don't listen to them and just trade the setups. If you have a W on bullish divergence at the bottom end of the range, let me know and I'll buy it. No, they want to do with it old German parliament, which only is there for 2 more weeks. Oh, okay. Actually, Alex, maybe come on the site tomorrow and let's talk about what's going on there in Germany. As the new German parliament wouldn't have the majority for the debt. Yeah, something really stinks about all that, eh? But they're really trying to do something there in Germany. All right, Canadians and South Africans. Oh, yeah, stay away from Canada and South Africa, that's for sure. And also Australia. Cutting waste is good. Not sure where you get that view. But yeah, the problem is, Andre, with regard to the cuts that they're doing, it's really paltry. I mean, you got to understand the US government, it's the size of the US government, something like $6 trillion annual budget. That means you would have to find like literally what, $700 billion in excess spending to make a 10% dent in that budget. So yeah, I mean, we sit here and we go, $1 million for fake tits in Botswana? What the fuck? You know, $10 million for cleft hoof mouth children in Ethiopia? What the fuck? And yeah, I agree. There's a whole bunch of silliness there. And, you know, of course, Donnie with the whole Social Security payments, there's like something like 500,000 Americans collecting Social Security over the age of 200 years old. It was ridiculous. So I do agree with that. There is, what do they say? Fluff to be cut off. I agree with that. But unfortunately, the numbers just aren't big enough to actually make a serious dent in the budget, which is kind of sad. But, you know, they're going to try as best as they can. And again, I would argue more of this is just simply they're kicking the hornet's nest. They're trying to cause trouble, right? And they're trying to get those 10-year bond yields down. And the way that you do that is, of course, try and generate economic weakness, right? That's the way bonds move. So, Brian, here is my question. I am all in on crypto right now. Are you changing your entire thesis based on today's fakie in the market that we will not rally in April, May and have a blow off? No, I think I basically spoke to that, Joe. Still totally on board, and I don't see anything stopping this freight train into the fall. The issue here, though, is don't chase, right? Don't buy tops of markets. You got to buy at the bottom of market. So something like dog money, you can't be in there buying. And Ethereum, it's the same thing. You can't be in there buying Ethereum up here. And the interesting thing is Ethereum now is working its way down into reload zones. And you can see where my stink bid is. It's sitting there at 78.6. That says that Brian wants to buy. That doesn't say Brian wants to sell. That says Brian wants to buy. It's just I'm a cheap ass. I buy at the bottom ends of ranges. So I hope that speaks to your point there, Joe. Not trying to do that exactly, just trying to figure out when to start DCing out. Yeah, well, I like the idea of getting out of crypto into the fall. Yeah, and I'm gonna stick with that. Keep in mind, I'm just another market participant. Right? It's like, oh my God, people actually care what the hell Brian Beamish thinks. Nobody gives a fuck what I think. Right? It's just that I've learned over my career not to chase. And I've also learned over my career not to fight these cycles. And I would not fight this cycle. I will not fight this cycle. That's why there was some people recently saying that they wanted to hedge and lock in sales of their crypto assets here. I don't really like that idea. And that's just my opinion. That's all it is. All right. So Andre says Brian has TDS, happens to the best of us. All right, there you go. Adam's got the correct answer. Alex got the correct answer. Constantine's got the correct answer. I'm not quite sure I understand what Thomas is saying there. Excellent point there, Alex. You have to start somewhere. Waste is waste. Don't justify it. Okay. Thank you, Andre. Trump derangement syndrome. That's what TDS is. Well, yeah, you know what my answer to that is, and it goes both ways, folks. And good answer there. If anything, Andre, please write down what Alex said there, what Constantine said there, what Adam said there, because that's exactly what I think is happening here. Is if you actually want to take the market up, first you take it down. And I think that's exactly what they're doing here right now. So they're going to convince all of you that crypto is going to zero. I might argue, based on this kind of image, that really this was just a very normal technical trade. Nothing out of the ordinary. Bitcoin's not going to zero. And if anything, what I've heard actually a lot recently, and especially from one guy that I really respect in this space, is actually this correction is nothing more than they want to bring the price down. So into tax deadline, when you actually have to pay your taxes, Bitcoin's going to be as low as possible and crypto is going to be as low as possible. So that way, any crypto kids that need to sell crypto to pay their tax bill, they're going to get the absolute lowest price possible for their crypto. They're not going to be able to sell up at the top. They'll have to sell at kind of a shitty price. And then once that tax deadline is gone, then there isn't any incentive to sell anymore. And the whole fucking thing ratchets back up. So I might make the argument that actually a lot of this is just nothing more than tax driven activity. So, but good answer on Constantine, Adam, Alex. Of course, I know all of you. You've been around forever. It makes perfect sense. You'd actually answer correctly. Shola says, crash the market first. You don't have to crash. Really, all they're going to do is just bring the market back down into buying locations. The key here, though, is you have to learn what is a good buying location and what the fuck are you doing going and spending your money up here. And if you can't learn that, then you will never get good at this quote unquote trading shit. And, that's fine. You don't have to be a trader in this world. And I'll tell you, I now know one person in particular who I actually even met a few years ago. And I tried to reach out to them and help them and say, you know what, we can get you to be actually a good investor and invest your hard earned money when you're supposed to. But you have to learn this. And unfortunately, I found out that they actually went and bought up here. And why they did that, I have no fucking clue, but they just won't learn. And that's fine. I'm not here to force you to learn how to be a good trader, but for God's sakes, the stuff that I teach works. So why not learn it? Anyway, so if we want to take the market up, first we bring it down. Really good example. I wouldn't be surprised if into the end of the year, as long as he doesn't go and blow himself up with the American public, it's getting to the point where the American public is getting a little sick and tired of this guy. But we'll see how that goes. May ebb and flow with all that kind of stuff. I might actually argue Allen is not a buy again until we actually W out on the other side of this. You might find that actually Allen's story's over. But having said that, bottom ends of ranges against uptrend lines. This is a really, really good working example of this entire concept of what I do and what I'm trying to teach all of you. Geez, we can take that all the way back to there, right? Just try and force yourself to come in and buy at the bottom ends of ranges and try and force yourself not to buy up here. Then you'll do perfectly fine. All right. I think that's about it. I gave everybody that quiz, and good to see Adam, Alex, and Constantine. My regulars got it. Don't necessarily have to crash things, Shola. All you really have to do is just bring stuff back down into buying windows. Oh, yeah. And now my final quiz question for you, and we'll leave it off on this. How can you tell, and it doesn't matter whether they're on the left or the right, how can you tell when a politician is lying to you? If you can answer this question and answer it correctly, then you will understand that I mean, Donnie is Donnie. He's a politician. Should we respect anything that he has to say now? The answer is no. They are lying to our faces because keep in mind, who runs these Western democracies? Do you think that the public has any power here whatsoever? Who does Donnie actually work for? The answer, of course, is he works for the special interests. He's the most honest liar. All right. On that note, let's call it a show. Hope you enjoyed the broadcast. Hope you got some value out of that. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, ring Colleen's bell. Who knows where the hell Colleen is in this world? Sure hope she's doing well. Leave a comment. Thank you very much for the best wishes for Liam and I on the road today. Obviously, I have to head off to my real job now. And of course, wish us luck being the demonstrators of best practices and trying to at least keep the people that are interested in actually doing this trading stuff correctly, keep them on the straight and narrow. And we'd love to have you part of our community. The question here is, can you change the record? Can you stop FOMOing? Can you stop chasing? And can you force yourself to actually start getting interested in these names when the public, ironically enough, is actually dying 1,000 deaths? And the cool part about it is we build tools at TRI to help you see this on a daily basis. Slow and steady wins the race. Keep yourself on the straight and narrow. It is interesting to see the S&P 500 and the stock market in general, especially looking at the country funds. I think they're getting ready for that eclipse pivot here. and then the rally into the Fed meeting. We haven't talked stock market today. We just strictly talked crypto. But I would basically be expecting a little bit of a reprieve through the Fed. And then, interestingly enough, next Sunday's show is actually on the eclipse event. So my hunch here is that they're actually going to try and bring the market back here through this coming week. So it'll be interesting to see. Somebody mark my words. It'll be interesting to see if crypto catches a bit of a bid here over this coming week. Anyway. All right. Have yourselves a great day. PMA for the win. Slow and steady wins the race. All the best. The only thing left Brian to say to you good people is bye for now.